What's up, everybody? This is Cody, aka DFS Prodigy, with my guest Dylan Burd from the Salvetri Show. How's it going, man?
It's all good. I'm excited to be talking NBA props. We got a big 11-game slate to discuss. And yeah, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about this slate. It already kind of turned into a weird slate now with no Blazers on this slate because of Damian Lillard resting. So we need to wait and see how the props are going to go with that game because that's going to be crazy now.
I think it's. I mean, look, I was looking at a lot of Blazers props because the Magic, I think the Blazers have an edge on them in a lot of categories here. The problem is that everything just got taken off the board. Just tried to run and get CJ McCollum before they were able to take it down, but they got to it before me.
Yeah, the Vegas already saw that coming, I think. So that Vegas already knew that we were all going to go for CJ McCollum and cancer. But starting with this first game with the Nets and Pistons, so the James Harden news is what's key to me in this game, because if he rests, that could boost up a lot of props for everybody. But we could have the Joe Harris game where he plays 5 minutes like I played him and gets you absolutely 0 points. So did you play Joe Harris for the Nets that game, or how did you feel about that situation?
Yeah, I mean, look, I feel like it's so hard not to put something in with James Harden at this point if he plays. Like if it's James Harden and only James Harden on the Nets, no Kyrie, no KD, this guy's going for like 30, 15, and 10 every night. Like it's pretty much ridiculous. Without Harden there, it'll be interesting. Obviously, we saw last game what happened when they kind of just played all their third string guys. The entire game got blown out. I don't think that'll be the case tonight. I think Harden will be back. I think they just decided that, you know what, this is a game that we might not win anyway because Utah's really good and we have everyone out except for Harden. So they're like, all right, back to back, good idea for Harden the rest here. I think he'll probably be back tonight if I had to guess, against the Pistons. So, and even if Harden ends up being out, I think that it could still be competitive because the Pistons are not a very good team, obviously.
No, not at all. And especially with no Delon Wright. So without Delon Wright now, what do you think of like Sadiq Bey, like with his points player props, or what do you think of him?
Yeah, I like Bey a lot. Right now, coming in points today at 12.5. Thing with the Nets is that you like, obviously, that the Nets let up a ton of points per game. So somebody's probably going to, go off on that team, whether it's going to be Jeremy Grant, Sadiq Bey. Interesting spot for Mason Plumlee as well. Plumlee, obviously a former Net himself. So, you always see these guys playing against their former teams could always have a little bit more motivation. Also, the Nets, they rank 24th in the NBA in opponent points in the paint per game at 49.5. Yeah. So I think that there is an opportunity for Plumlee here, potentially. I don't know if I'm going to end up going anything. Some of these guys, they're very inconsistent. So I usually like to roll with the more consistent players, and Mason Plumlee, I would not say is in that category. But I do think that it could get into here. Somebody's going to get an interesting points bump just from Delon Wright not being there, plus the Nets just being bad defensively.
Yeah, the thing, what scares me for Plumlee, like you were saying, inconsistency, in that he doesn't score that ton of points. Like 5 out of the 6 games, he's scored 111 points. So it's hard to get him there.
Yeah. And another thing I'm worried about, another thing is I like taking guys where, they take a lot of shots. So they have a lot of opportunities to actually get that points prop. You look at Mason Plumlee's last few games, 8 shots, 4 shots, 4, 6, 5. Like,
that's what I was pulling up. Yeah.
So yeah, good matchup. I want to check out Sadiq Bey real quickly here because, you did mention him.
Yeah.
And Bey is a guy that I think he could have a pretty huge, last 2 months of the season. Because this is a guy they've kind of just been ramping up as the season's gone on. He's had some explosion games. He's a problem is he's a rookie. He's another guy. He's a little bit inconsistent, not exactly, shooting the best percentages. Again, he is a rookie. So it is tough for me to get to some of these Pistons players just because of the inconsistency in production. And then Jeremy Grant obviously was insane at the beginning of the year and has kind of just tailed off a little bit. Isn't exactly what he was at the beginning of the year. So yeah, I don't love any of these Pistons in particular. Obviously, I think there's potential. It's just hard to choose which one it's going to be.
Yeah, that's the problem is like it could be anybody. It could be another game where Sadiq Bey goes off, or he can literally go for 10 points like he's been doing. So it's hard to judge how he goes.
Right. I agree.
Especially as a rookie. But they don't have the Nets props yet out because of James Harden. So we just kind of have to wait and see approach with that news because that could change this whole entire slate like usual with the James Harden news. Boston and the Bucks. So neither team made a bunch of moves other than the Boston making the move with Tice. What do you think of the money line here at negative 240 for the Bucks?
Yeah, and they also got Evan Fournier. I'm not
Oh,
sure
they
if he's
got
playing tonight.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I don't consider Fournier a huge get at all. It's always funny with Boston because
yeah,
they always it's like a funny joke on Twitter. Everyone, it's like huge talks about big moves with Boston always, and they never end up doing it. Danny Ainge
yeah.
is always so reluctant to actually make the move. I do like Milwaukee tonight. They just destroyed them last game, and then Boston kind of had a weird comeback that probably won't happen again. But the Bucks are far the superior team. But I think that this is an interesting spot for props as well. And this is, I ended up taking 3 props from this game. The other night I think it was Wednesday night. Yeah, I went 4-2 on props on the day, but my 2 losses came from this game. I had 3 props here. I went 1-2, but I do think that this is still an interesting spot for possibly some over props just because it is a high over under in the game. There's going to be a lot of points. That, playing against Milwaukee. Last year, Milwaukee was great defensively. This year, it's kind of like they're just like cruising through the regular season, and then they'll probably ramp up their defense once the
Right.
playoffs actually start. But they let up a lot of threes as well. So I look at a guy here, Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown, over 23.5 points. This is a spot that, he was my one prop from this game that hit on Wednesday, and he was at 22.5. They bumped him up to 23.5, but I still think I like it. You get pretty good value. It on DraftKings is plus 100 right there on Bet Online for you. It's plus minus 108. I think it just said, but
Yeah,
anyway, I still think that's good
108.
value here. They've last few games for Jaylen Brown, last 7 games, he's averaging 26.3 points per game on 20.7 shots per game. So that's a guy, for example, who I like, takes a lot of shots, especially recently. So you say, okay, if he has a decent shooting night, he'll probably, be close or probably hit that. He's cleared over 23.5 in 6 of his last 7 games. So I think this could be another good spot for him here.
Yeah, I like this spot a lot for him. Like what I was looking at also was everything combined with points, rebounds, and assists. I think this is great for Jaylen Brown. I think he can hit that 32.5 easily at negative 120, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. Let me just dig into Brown's points, rebounds, assists. Sometimes it is better to. I haven't been taking a ton of points, rebounds, assists, but sometimes I do like that just because. All right, if he has a little bit of an off shooting night, you hope he maybe chips in rebounding a little
Rebounds
more.
and assists, yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, last 2 games he's gone 10 rebounds, 9 rebounds, and then like 11 rebounds. 4 games ago. So if he could possibly get up there in terms of rebounds, it's a no brainer as well.
Which I think that's the key also because there's no Daniel Tice. So who else is going to get the rebounds for this team, in my opinion?
Plus, yeah, I mean, high over under helps as well. Like, there's gonna be a lot of possessions, a lot of rebounding opportunities for him. I know Milwaukee's particularly, a good rebounding team. But I think you make a great point as well with Tice.
Because I don't see any of the Robert Williams props, which I'm surprised by that also because I figured they would add him in, but I haven't seen barely any.
Yeah, I'm actually curious. That's a good point. I'm actually interesting to see how Robert Williams does now that he's going to probably be freed up for some more minutes. He's obviously a guy that's flashed a lot in limited time just over the last couple of years.
Because I was hoping there would be a rebound prop for him, and I was hoping to get on that one, but I haven't seen anything here on Bet Online.
Yeah, let me quickly check a few other things. I don't think I've seen it either. Probably just because they have no idea what's going to happen with him. They don't know what I don't know.
Exactly. So as soon as you figured that out, what do you think of this Suns and Raptors game?
Yeah, I mean, you just broke the news to me actually that they will have Gary Trent tonight and Rodney Hood. So I think that it's kind of hard to read how their offense is going to look. I would assume that Gary Trent is going to have a bigger role there. He's probably going to take over Norman's role, I'm sure. So that should be interesting. I like Gary Trent a lot as a player. In terms of things here, there are some edges I do like. Like if you're looking at opponent team stats, for props, the Raptors, they give up a lot of threes, they give up a lot of assists, and they give up a lot of rebounds. So I'm looking at that. But and Chris Paul over assists, he has been a machine hitting his over assist prop against bad teams that can't defend assists well. So I guess these teams, it's kind of hard to explain, but I guess these teams just they aren't as good on rotations and defense or something like that. And they just have a lot of guys open, so it's easy these guys to get assists. But but I'm sure DraftKings and FanDuel and all these other books, they've caught on, and they put his prop all the way up at 9.5. So I don't think I'll get to it that high.
That's what it is on Bet Online also.
If it was at 8.5, I probably would have got to it. Suns are also really, really good in terms of pretty much everything on defense. It's one of the reasons why they are second in the Western Conference. Yeah. So I don't exactly love any Raptors in particular tonight. Right now, I don't have any props from this game. In terms of the actual game itself, the Raptors, they just look so shook this year. I don't know whether it's, them, playing in Tampa. There's been the confrontations with Siakam and Nick Nurse, and you're like, wow, this is just such a weird thing considering they've been such a machine over the last few years. So I think I do like Phoenix tonight in terms of the actual spread -4, the game. I think that they could cover that. And I think they'll win the game. But in terms of props, I don't have anything in this game right now.
Yeah, they don't have any of the Raptors props out on BetOnline, what I'm looking at right now. I don't see any other than just the Suns here and there.
Yeah, I don't think let me quickly check here. Yeah, I don't think they have it as well over here. Oh no, they do have it on FanDuel.
On FanDuel?
Right now they have Siakam at 19.5 points, Van Vliet 19.5, Lowry 16.5. Actually, so yeah, what I am curious about is how much will Gary Trent play out of the gate? How much will Rodney Hood play out of the gate? Will possibly a Van Vliet or a Siakam maybe score a little bit more tonight in replacement of, losing Norman Powell? That's one thing.
Well, and losing Terrence Davis.
Honestly, I'm not.
There's no Terrence Davis.
As well. Right. So it's kind of tough to read some of these teams after the deadline because you never know what's going to happen.
Exactly. That's the problem. But if you feel like there is going to be the Suns win, you can get the double with 9 assists for Chris Paul and the Phoenix win at +120. If you want to.
That is something I would look into for sure. Again, yeah, I like Paul to get a decent amount of assists. I just don't know if I would play it at over 9.5. But once again, if you could get it at 9 and in a double, then yeah, I think you could consider it.
Exactly.
But yeah, I've played Chris Paul's props against like teams like the Pelicans and teams like the Hornets who give up a ton of assists, and he has like 9 in the first quarter, and I'm like, oh, that was easy.
Yeah.
I don't know if that'll be the same tonight against the Raptors, but it seems like the books are learning a little bit about that.
Yeah. That was similar to the Mike Conley prop that I keep finding him at 3.5 under rebounds. And he hits every single game under the rebounds. Like he cannot get rebounds to save his life, and it hits every single game. What do you think of the Nuggets and the Pelicans game?
Yeah, this is another interesting one where there's going to be a lot of points. The over/under all the way up at 231.5. Opened at 232.5. So I mean, they're expecting a lot of points in this game as well, and there's no reason why there wouldn't be. The Pelicans not really that good on defense at all. 25th in the NBA in opponent points per game in general, and then the Nuggets let up a lot of threes. The Pelicans let up a lot of threes. The Pelicans rank last in the NBA in opponent threes made. So this could be a scoring fest, which again is appealing for props. Pelicans also give up a ton of assists, but not really any Nuggets assist lines that I liked. The one spot that I have been going to with Denver recently, I went to over rebounds plus assists with Jokic the other day. I don't know if that's going to hit today just because the Pelicans are a tough team to grab rebounds against. Obviously, they have Adams, Zion. It's just a very big team. So I would probably shy away from Jokic tonight. But Michael Porter Jr. has been a guy that's been killing his points prop the last 9 games.
Literally.
Over this 9-game span, he's shooting 59% from the field, 49% from 3. He's averaging 21 points per game over these 9 games, and he's cleared this 17.5 line in 8 of these last 9 games. So I know last time I took it, I think I either took him on Wednesday or Monday, I don't remember, but it was at 16.5. Now they boosted it to 17.5, but I don't really think that that's enough still. Based on the way he's been playing and with the easy matchup here against the Pelicans and them letting up a ton of threes, a ton of points, I think that it's a good spot for him again.
So even though this is a weird matchup for Jokic, I like the 3 points, the 3-pointer for him. I think he can easily hit the over 1.5 here at plus money.
Yeah, I do like that a lot. My only concern with Jokic is that he has games where he shoots only twice from 3, or 3 times. So it's a little bit worrisome. But you would think that okay, he should
give up so many 3-pointers here.
If he were to shoot if he were to shoot 4 or 5 threes tonight, I think it's guaranteed. It's just he does have those games where he'll shoot 2, 3, 1 3, and I'm like, all right, well, he didn't even have a chance to do it.
Yeah, it's an interesting prop at plus money. I'm surprised that that's at plus money too. Even though the matchup,
I think that's interesting if you want to go for value for sure. But actually, Michael Porter Jr. also, he's at plus 100 on the 17.5, and Jaylen Brown, which I spoke about before, was also at plus 100 on DraftKings on his over 23.5 points. So I mean, some of these guys, they boosted up a point from last game, and they're pretty good value as a result.
Which also, I like the points for under on Eric Bledsoe. He just has not been getting it done. And NAW's been taking his job for minutes wise.
Yeah, Bledsoe has not been good at all this year. Let me what is the line on
Bledsoe? Under
Bledsoe?
9.5 at plus 120.
That is interesting. Yeah. I just want to check on Bledsoe quickly. Yeah, Bledsoe has been a huge disappointment. Obviously, you heard the rumors that they were possibly just trying to get rid of his contract yesterday, and I'm sure no one wanted to take that.
Yeah.
He has like 45 million left on his deal. He's taken 8 shots in his last 3 games, and he's gone for 2, 6, 7, 11, 7, 0, 2. So I think under 9.5 probably will work.
Because NAW's playing all his minutes.
Yeah, I like that.
So that's what I'm mainly looking at in this game. There's not much else I really like. The Michael Porter Jr. one, I'm definitely on that one. I like that one a ton. What do you think of Jamal Murray in this game, though? I want to talk about him for a minute.
Yeah, Murray is another guy. I can never seem to get him right.
Right, exactly.
Every time and he's one of those, he's the master of inconsistency if we're talking about that. I mean, this guy, he'll go for 50 one night and then he'll go for 15 the next.
Yeah.
So it's tough to read. I was playing his 3-point prop a couple weeks back because he was dropping 4 to 5 threes a game. That one hit, but then there have been times where I bet him over points and he's just he goes silent for the game. He just decides he's going to shoot 13 times instead of 20 for this game. Just a little bit inconsistent. And they have boosted I looked for threes in this game.
Yeah.
They boosted his 3-point line up to 3.5, which he's only hit twice in his last 6 games. So that it is tough for me to get it. Could he obviously do it against the Pelicans team? I can't defend the 3. Yes.
Yeah.
Do I like the fact that he hasn't really hit that lately? No. His points prop also got boosted up a little bit to 21.5. That's a spot that's just a little bit too high for me. So I like Murray in this game, but I think the props are just too high for me to take.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So moving on to Charlotte and the Heat, they obviously don't have any props for this game. What do you think of this game for the over-under?
Yeah, the over-under in this game. I mean, the thing with the Heat is they always have such a low over-under just because they're slow paced, pretty good defensively. Charlotte, yeah, they're kind of the same way. They don't really play that fast. They are pretty solid defensively. I think this will all depend on whether or not, are we going to get Jimmy Butler where the Heat could be firing on all cylinders, or are they going to play a game where it's basically the Bam Adebayo show on offense? And if Butler's out, I probably like the under here. Also, no LaMelo Ball for the Hornets for probably the rest of the year. So I'm curious to see how that plays out with them. I don't think it'll be a high-scoring game at all, but I think it'll come down to whether or not Butler plays or not.
They have Brad Wanamaker. He'll fill in for LaMelo Ball, obviously. It's easy. God, I'm surprised they didn't make a bigger move, honestly, trying to fill in that point guard role.
Yeah, I mean, they're playing well. They're 4th in the East right now.
Yeah.
I am seeing a little bit of a few props come up here on FanDuel. And one that I've been on recently that I would be on again is Gordon Hayward over rebounds. He's at 5.5 at -138 on FanDuel. He's at 6.5, which I still like, honestly. They had him at 6.5 for plus money on FanDuel earlier in the day, and then they moved him down to 5.5. It's still at 6.5 on DraftKings, I believe. But Hayward is a guy that I hit his rebounds. He had 7 rebounds in 18 minutes played against the Rockets the other day. Rockets aren't a good rebounding team. Heat, you would think they're a good rebounding team, but they're kind of middle of the pack. They rank 16th in the NBA in opponent rebounds per game. And Gordon Hayward, I mean, this is a guy he's been rebounding really well, 7.1 rebounds per game over his last 7. He's cleared the 6.5 number in 6 of his last 7 games. So the 5.5 I like even more. Also, with LaMelo out, there's just a few more rebounding opportunities. So I think that him to hit over 5.5 is a pretty good bet.
What about the Gordon Hayward over 1.5 threes against the Heat?
Again, the Heat are another team that give up a ton of threes. My theory on this is that with the Pelicans and the Heat, no one's trying to go inside against Zion, Steven Adams. No one's trying to go inside against Bam Adebayo because these guys are just really good, defending the paint, defending the rim. So I think that's what results in a lot of threes taken. The Heat are, in the same category with the Pelicans in the fact that they give up a ton of threes. They rank at, I believe it's 28th in opponent threes made per game at 14.8. So I think Hayward could do it, but Hayward's recent shot attempts, I should say, worries me. He's just letting other guys do the work. I don't know what that's about. You'd think that his scoring would go up and shot opportunities would go up without LaMelo Ball, but he's been I believe last game again, he only played 18 minutes, so it's kind of
Right.
it's kind of hard to read. It was a blowout win. But he only had 8 points last game, and then 27, 17. And in terms of the threes, he's hit the threes the last couple of games, but last 3 games actually. But if he's only, potentially he's actually scored in single digits 3 of his last 5 games.
Yeah.
That worries me. Is he not going to be taking a lot of shots? So yeah, I'm probably staying away from Gordon Hayward over 1.5 threes. I don't hate it, but I'm just going to stick with his rebounds here.
So for Dallas and the Pacers, I know that I like a few guys here. Miles Turner over 17.5 points, rebounds, and assists. I know he looked bad last game, but against this Mavs team, he can certainly get it done. I mean, he's got the past 3 games, 16 points and 12 points, 6 rebounds, 5 rebounds, one assist and 2 assists. He can get it done here against this Mavs team, I think.
Yeah, I think that's a little bit of a low line. Obviously, again, another Miles Turner, another guy you don't know what you're going to get from night to night, but I think that Dallas is probably a good opportunity for him. I mean, they don't exactly they need a big, first of all.
They should have got Vooch.
I know, obviously. Yeah, they have Kristaps there, but Kristaps is not exactly the best defender in the world. So I mean, I think that Turner is a good opportunity for bounce back tonight. Looking at the Mavs stats here in general, they are, I mean, kind of middling defensively. We saw them like earlier in the year, they couldn't play defense at all. Now they're kind of tightening up a bit. 13th in the NBA in opponent points per game. Now looking at their rebounding, I believe that this is a team that's been bouncing back and forth with rebounding. They're not a good rebounding team. 17th in the NBA in opponent rebounds per game. They were a lot lower than that, I believe, earlier in the year, which is why I couldn't find them just now at first. So yeah, I think Turner could bounce back here. 17.5 does look like a points, rebounds, assists does look like a pretty good line. You hope he goes 11 or 12 points, 5-6 rebounds, and maybe an assist or 2, and that'll get it done.
What do you think of Luka Doncic here in this matchup?
Yeah, well, I actually have the Pacers written down as a team that you could the Pacers, I should say, they are vulnerable in every category. They give up a lot of points. They give up a lot of assists. They give up a lot of rebounds. That's probably one of the reasons why they haven't been very good this year.
Yeah.
Luka he's a guy that, I was on his 3-point line for a while because they kept putting him at 2.5. And now they finally realized, this guy hits over 2.5 every single game. So they boosted it up to 3.5. That being said, I mean, Luka's been absolutely unreal this year as expected. And again, I think this is a great matchup for him against the Pacers. So I want to just check out his props here quickly. I think he'll have a big night. The question is just what numbers are you getting him at?
So for points, rebounds, and assists, it's at over 48.5 and -110.
Yeah, that's like, it's always tough for me to take a guy when it's that high. There's always with the NBA every single game. This is I learned my lesson the hard way early in the year with this, but there's more blowouts than not in the NBA these days.
Well, especially this year. Yeah, this year.
Yeah, it absolutely kills the props. So even though that this game on paper doesn't look like a blowout, all of a sudden you get a Pacers play a bad quarter or something, and then they bench Luka, and last few games Luka's played under 30 minutes. To have blowout wins. So look, is Luka the type of guy that could cover this even through 3 quarters? Sure. But 2 games ago against Portland, they won by 40 points. He played 29 minutes, close to 30, and he had 37, 7, and 4. So that still doesn't even cover it. And he had a great game. It's just a blowout killed it because he didn't play the 4th quarter. So when you have props that high, it's hard to go over there. Now going under, I don't know if I would do that either, just because if it's a close game,
he can easily do it. Yeah. Even including rebounds, I kind of like the line at 10.5 for Sabonis. I think he in the interior again, he can do this.
Yeah, I like Sabonis. I think it's a good matchup. Averaging 11.2 rebounds per game on the season. Last few games, he's gone 11, 9, 11, 15, 11. So he's cleared this 4 of his last 5 over 10.5. I like Sabonis in this spot, especially with limited bigs in Dallas.
Exactly. So moving on to this Jazz and Grizzlies game. So Jaren Jackson supposedly supposed to come back in April is what I've been seeing. What do you think of this game? But overall, though.
Yeah, I mean, overall, the Grizzlies are a tough team to read this year.
I hate this team so much.
Yeah, I never know what to think. I'm like, I always like
Yeah.
when I'm like first looking at them here, I'm like, all right, they're not a good team. And then you look at the standings and you're like, all right, maybe they're gonna make the playoffs. Like maybe they're there. It's kind of been weird because John Morant has been like, he's been good this year, but he hasn't been good in terms of like stats. Like he like you would based on his first few games this year. I don't know if you remember, like the first game of the year, he had like 44 points, and then he got hurt for a while.
Yeah.
And you were like, after that first game, everyone was like, my God, this guy is going to be unbelievable this year. And now he kind of came back from this ankle injury. He's kind of been a little bit, I'm sure he was probably still hurting a little bit because he was a little bit hesitant, wasn't shooting a lot. Excuse me. Now he's kind of ramping it up a little bit, but he has like one every other 5 games where he's going over 20. Again, I think Morant's unbelievable. He's one of my favorite players in the league. He's going to be really good, but for whatever reason this year, he's been kind of middling in terms of just the stats all the way around. So it's hard to just read Memphis in general. And then Utah, they've been unbelievable this year. They kind of seemingly blow out every single team. So again, numbers high at 9.5. It's hard to read. I think it's just a hard game to read in general. I think that's the overarching theme here.
That's what I was saying. Like, it's hard to judge this team because of how inconsistent they are. Like, Kyle Anderson could literally have a 50-point game out of nowhere. We saw it in the Millionaire for DraftKings how Kyle Anderson had that 50 burger. Nobody saw it coming. Like, nobody knows what this team is going to do, especially against the Jazz that's decent at defense. It's hard to judge what we're going to think of this team. I don't like a lot of this game personally.
Yeah, I can't see myself taking any props from here either.
But going to Atlanta Hawks and Warriors, so they made a few moves here and there for the Warriors. What do you think of this game overall?
Yeah, the Warriors obviously no Curry again. At least I think he's out for tonight.
He should be out.
Yeah, unless something changes last second, I guess. But he's supposed to be out. And this Warriors team without Curry is an absolute disaster. I mean, it's hard to watch. They seemingly get blown out every game. The spread at 7 for Atlanta is warranted, especially the way Atlanta is playing under a new head coach, Nate McMillan. But in terms of props here, a guy who I played against the Kings, his over rebounds, and the leading rebounder in the NBA, Clint Capella, he is a great up here against the Warriors. The Warriors ranked 30th in the NBA, so dead last in opponent rebounds per game. This kind of tells me, you know what, this could be a huge spot for Capella, the league's leading rebounder against the worst rebounding team. And the line is very high at 14.5, but I don't think it's high enough. I think they could have got away with moving it to 15.5 because he's averaging 14.2 rebounds per game. So it's not like you expect that he's going to perform better than average against a poor rebounding team in Golden State. So I do like the over 14.5. He's cleared that 5 his last 9, but I mean, a lot of the times that he's not clearing it, he's at 14. So again, against this bad Warriors rebounding team, I think that over 14.5 is a good play for Capella. The only thing you have to worry about, of course, is the blowout, which there's potential for without Curry on the Warriors. And these other guys, Oubre, Wiggins, they have like Jordan Poole scoring like 25 a game now without Curry. Like it's just a bizarre situation.
So also though, with Draymond Green, he's not getting you the points at all for this team. Yeah, no. I wouldn't mind taking a shot at under 7.5 to be risky.
Yeah, Draymond, I can't believe like he's not like trying to score more. You would think that that's what he'd be trying to do I think under 7.5 is a prop that probably has a decent chance of hitting here.
Negative 108 for my
Hawks have been locking up. Like they couldn't play defense at all during the stretch where like they eventually fired Lloyd Pierce, and now they're locking up. Nate McMillan obviously has always been a defensive minded type guy, energy guy. He's turned this team around. I think Draymond on 7.5 does look pretty good in my opinion. And I like to look at Draymond's rebounding prop or assist prop because those are always, he could always go for a triple double on any night.
Yeah.
Or at least a double double with rebound and assists and not get the points. Yeah. I don't like that either tonight just because I think again Atlanta's pretty good in those categories. They are locking up, but I do think under 7.5 could be a pretty decent play for that.
And then, like you said, looking at 3-pointers, I mean, Andrew Wiggins for three 3-pointers, it's kind of hard to get to. A lot of this Warriors team, we just don't know who is going to be that night. Oubre hasn't done well, but I mean, Poole and Wiggins have been flipping and flopping which game they want to go off on, obviously. So it's hard to judge this Warriors team.
I'm really intrigued by Poole, actually. Like, this is out of
Yeah,
nowhere. He was literally in the G League bubble, I'm pretty sure, like a month ago.
he
And now he
was.
just
Yeah,
comes in. Yeah, and he's just scoring 20 night in and night out, basically, for this team without Curry. So that'll be interesting to monitor for the rest of the year.
exactly. Including though, even like you were saying for Clint Capella, I think that's a great number for his points at least 16 points. I think he can easily smash that against Wiseman in the paint. There's no way around it.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. Just another guy that's a little bit inconsistent in terms of his scoring. But look, if he's going to get attempts, then he's going to probably score them because it's all dunks. So yeah, I think that's okay as well. But a curious stat with Golden State, which I've always, been curious about how this works because their overall defense is not good.
Yeah,
Wiseman hasn't been great this
he
year. He's
hasn't
been
fulfilled.
right.
No.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like they definitely made the wrong pick. The fact that LaMelo was available, but that's a topic for another day.
Yeah,
The
we
Warriors
can.
the Warriors rank 11th in the NBA in opponent points in the paint per game, which is interesting because you would think that they let up a lot more points in the paint per game. I don't know what that reasoning is, but on paper you think Capella should have a huge night tonight.
So speaking of inconsistent teams, with the Lakers and the Cavs, so do you think Sexton is going to be out tonight? Yes or no? That's going to be the key.
Yeah, I don't know. I want to check his. It's tough. Half these guys, it's so tough with NBA injuries because it's
I
all over the
know.
place. Really.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
He missed Wednesday with the sore right hamstring. Tough to read. The hamstring injuries, they usually lean on keeping guys out a little bit longer.
because
So maybe they will hold him out tonight. I don't know. If they do hold him out, it should be a huge night for Darius Garland, I'd
that's
think.
what. Yeah.
So if they do hold him out, maybe you take your chance now. And I don't know. Do they have any props up for the Cavs yet?
So yeah, they do. So like I was saying, for Darius Garland for points, rebounds, and assists, it's 26.5 at negative 114. I like that a ton. If there's no Sexton.
You take your chance. That's a prop. If you're feeling risky, you could take your chance with and just hope he gets ruled out.
Well,
And
even if you're feeling,
even if he doesn't get ruled out, like there's still a shot he hits.
so
Even
also one of the most inconsistent players in the game, obviously, Isaac Okoro. If there's no Sexton, over 12.5 for points, rebounds, and assists. I mean, he can get it.
And Okoro is a guy who, I mean, he was playing huge minutes at the beginning of the year, and he's still playing 32.3 minutes per game. Minutes have been down a little bit from the beginning of the year, but this is a guy who he plays, but he doesn't actually put up a lot of numbers. So like he'll get you 30 minutes and then he'll go like 6 points and 2 rebounds. Again, I guess mostly just a defensive player at this point in his career as a rookie. So again, if Sexton doesn't play, then that could be pretty appealing. Last game with Sexton out, he had 12, 3, and 2. So I mean, someone's got to score when Sexton's not playing. Garland's assists are interesting here. Let me just check the line. That's a line I've played a lot this year. Garland's
over 6.5 for plus 120.
Yeah, on FanDuel it's at 5.5 at minus. Well, obviously huge juice, minus 144. If you get, 5.5, I think it may be worth the juice. He's averaging 5.9 on the season, but the last few games he's gone 9. Then he had 2. Okay, so he didn't hit it there, but then 6. So if you get it at 5.5, and I believe this Lakers team, they're not great at defending assists, if I remember correctly. They rank 19th in the NBA in opponent assists per game, 25.2. Obviously, they don't have their normal defense as well with LeBron out, Davis out. So I think that especially if Sexton is out, that assist line is going to look really good.
So speaking of the Cavs, so Fantasy Labs just tweeted that Sexton's questionable, which we kind of already knew. So there's not much update to that line other than that's questionable.
Unfortunate.
Yeah, I was
hoping, but unfortunate there.
I was hoping it set out, but yeah, it's questionable. Including so speaking of points, Jared Allen at over 14.5 against his interior defense is not the greatest. I mean, they're not. Gasol is still not playing. The conditioning's not there for him. Who else is going to start in the paint for them?
Yeah, bad interior defense. They rank 21st in the NBA in opponent points in the paint per game at 48.7. So look, the Lakers, they're not a team you could always exploit in terms of over props. But if there's one place to do it, it's probably here. Allen's scored over 14.5 points in 3 of his last 4 games. The question is he just going to get shot? Is he going to get the shot attempts? And if Sexton is out, he's definitely going to probably go over 10 shot attempts. And taking a lot of these shots in the paint against a bad paint defense, I think could work out really well for Allen tonight. I like Jared Allen a lot. He's good. He's productive. The question is just, is he going to get these shot opportunities? And I think he will against this Lakers team that struggled in terms of paint defense. I guess who they starting now? Damian Jones is still.
So hold on. So if your book still has the Mavericks game, go catch it because Luka now is doubtful for today.
Oh wow. This is the NBA. This is the NBA for you these days.
Yeah. So if your book still has the Mavericks on, go take all the Porzingis props. Go take all of Josh Richardson props. Both those props are going to hit.
FanDuel just locked everything here already. Yeah.
So nobody saw that coming. Obviously, we didn't. I mean, there was no news on him being out for this game at all.
Right.
So, yeah, sorry to interrupt you, man. But like I said, speaking of that game.
All good.
Yeah, that's huge news. So, like I said, if your book still has Mavs props, go catch it before it's too late because it's already too late on our end.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, Damian Jones, did they sign him for another 10-day contract or no? I thought they didn't.
I don't know. I don't even know.
That shows you how bad this defense is.
Are we sure Marc Gasol is out tonight because he's listed as a potential person to score the first basket?
See, that's what they did last game also. Remember, so they did that for a couple games where they activated him, but he was sitting on the bench because he wasn't conditioned enough.
Yeah, I guess they probably just throw it up there just in case. I don't know.
Because they need him as an active player on the team. So that's why they activated him technically, but they didn't play him. But either way, it's hard to judge this team overall because of it could be literally Kuzma, it could be Schroeder, or it could be Harrell doing well one night. So there's obviously still no LeBron, still no AD. What do you think of Schroeder at his props and Harrell?
Oh, Harrell? Yeah, I mean, again, should be another good spot for Harrell. Cleveland ranks 22nd in the NBA in opponent points in the paint per game. Harrell's been really good lately, filling in for, just, I guess, filling the void, I should say, for the production that LeBron and Davis bring. Last few games with Harrell here, 20 points, 18, 23, and 23. And I think that he has a good matchup, as I said, against this Cavs team. So I do like Harrell tonight. Let me just check so they actually don't have on FanDuel, they don't have a points prop for him yet or rebounds.
That's weird.
Yeah, I don't know what the reasoning is. I'm going to check DraftKings right now. What do we got here?
I don't see it on BetOnline either.
Yeah. I don't know why. Is he questionable possibly?
He shouldn't be.
I don't know why he's he's no news on him, so I don't know why props aren't up for him yet, but
well, either way, this is a great matchup for him.
It is.
Kuzma, what do you think of Kuzma? I kind of like him here.
Another guy who's been playing great recently.
For 30.5 points, rebounds, and assists, I like that.
Yeah, that's a good line. Especially the guy's been bringing down 9 and 10 rebounds his last 2 games. If he get there, score 20 points, it's a guarantee. Another guy, he has a few games where he's exploded for assists the last 2 games. He had 0 in his last game, but then he had 7 and 6 the last 2 before that. So I think there's some potential there at points, rebounds, assists.
For sure, man. So that pretty much wraps up this 11 gamer. Do you have any last closing thoughts, man, before we head out?
I love these Friday slates because you have so much opportunity. That's really my only thought. I loved, thank you once again for having me on. It was great to break down the slate. And yeah, I'll be having my live show as always later, probably around 4:30 or 5 p.m. Eastern time, where I, say my final prop plays, but I already mentioned a lot of the ones I like on here. But yeah, I'll finalize those and then I'll take some questions. So yeah, I mean, I think it's a good slate tonight. And again, thank you.
Yeah, it was pretty fun breaking it down with you, man. I'm happy to have you on anytime. It's been fun breaking this slate down with breaking news here and there, like the Luka Doncic news in the middle of the slate. So
yeah, it's fun.
That's the nature of the NBA now. But that pretty much wraps up this video for us, guys. Thank you all for tuning in and have a good one, everybody.